Vikings. The very name strikes a primal chord of fear and awe. These were not just warriors. They were titans of terror, conquerors who carved their sagas into the very face of Europe. They raided, they pillaged, they explored, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. From the frozen fjords of Norway to the sun-baked shores of the Mediterranean, their long ships brought an unstoppable wave of destruction. They conquered kingdoms, sailed across ocean, and struck terror into the hearts of entire civilizations. But there was one person who made these unstoppable warriors tremble with fear, a 12-year-old girl. And the reason why will completely blow your mind. Number 1, the warrior culture that knew no fear. To understand just how incredible this story is, you need to grasp the sheer magnitude of Viking fearlessness. These weren't ordinary soldiers following orders. Vikings were raised from birth to embrace death in battle as the highest honor imaginable. They believed that dying gloriously in combat would guarantee them a place in Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain, where they would feast and fight for eternity alongside the god. This wasn't just a belief system, it was the very core of their identity. Viking children were taught to wield weapons before they could properly walk. They grew up hearing tales of legendary warriors faced impossible odds without flinching. Fear to a Viking was not just weakness, it was spiritual failure. They sailed into storms that would terrify modern sailors, charged into battles outnumbered 10 to 1, and explored uncharted territories where death lurked around every corner. So when I tell you that these fearless warriors were terrified of a child, you need to understand just how earth-shattering that revelation truly is. Number 2, the mysterious child who defied all logic. Her name was Thora, and she lived in a small settlement on the coast of what is now Denmark, around the year 1034. But Thora wasn't just any ordinary girl. From the moment she could speak, strange things began happening around her. Livestock would fall ill when she was angry. Storms would suddenly appear when she cried. And most terrifyingly of all, she seemed to know things that no child should know. She would predict the outcomes of battles before they happened, warn of raids days before they occurred, and speak of events taking place hundreds of miles away with uncanny accuracy. The local villagers initially dismissed these incidents as coincidence, but as Thora grew older, her abilities became impossible to ignore. She could look into a person's eyes and tell them exactly how they would die. She knew the names of Viking warriors she had never met and could describe their ship, their weapon, and their darkest secrets in perfect detail. Word of this mysterious child began to spread throughout the Viking world like wildfire, carried by traders, travelers, and terrified survivors of her prediction. Number 3, the prophecy that shook an empire. But it wasn't just Thora's supernatural abilities that terrified the Viking. It was one specific prophecy that would change everything. During a gathering of local chieftains, 12-year-old Thora stood before these battle-hardened warriors and delivered a prediction that would haunt them for generations. She declared that any Viking who dared to harm her or her village would not just die, but would be cursed to wander the earth as a dishonored spirit, forever denied entry to Valhalla. In Viking culture, this was literally a fate worse than death. To be denied Valhalla meant eternal shame, spiritual exile, and the complete destruction of everything they held sacred. But Thora didn't stop there. She went on to describe in vivid detail how specific warriors in the room would meet their end, naming date, locations, and circumstances with such precision that grown men began to weep. She told them about their families, their hidden fears, and their secret shame. By the time she finished speaking, these legendary warriors were on their knees, begging for her forgiveness and mercy. Number 4, the supernatural events that proved her power. What happened next would cement Thor's reputation as the most feared person in the Viking world. Within weeks of her prophecy, every single prediction she had made began to come true with terrifying accuracy. Warriors who had laughed at her words found themselves facing the exact deaths she had described. Ships sank in storms she had foretold, battles were lost in precisely the manner she had predicted. And most chilling of all, those who had shown her disrespect began reporting supernatural encounter. They spoke of ghostly apparition, unexplained illnesses, and a crushing sense of dread that followed them wherever they went. Word spread throughout Scandinavia that this 12-year-old girl possessed powers beyond human comprehension. Viking raiding parties would literally change course to avoid her village. Chieftains would send gifts and tributes from hundreds of miles away, hoping to earn her favor. The most feared warriors of the age would cross themselves and whisper protective chants at the mere mention of her name. Number 5. The legacy that outlived death itself. Thora's influence extended far beyond her short life. She died at the age of 16, but her impact on Viking culture was permanent and profound. The fear she instilled was so deep that it fundamentally changed how Vikings approached warfare, spirituality, and their understanding of power itself. Generations of Viking warriors would tell stories of the girl who could curse souls and predict doom. Her village became a place of pilgrimage, where warriors would come to seek blessing and avoid curses. The very concept of supernatural retribution became woven into Viking folklore, creating a new layer of spiritual complexity in their warrior culture. Archaeological evidence suggests that Viking raiding patterns actually shifted during and after Thora's lifetime, with certain coastal areas being completely avoided for decades. The psychological impact of one 12-year-old girl had literally redrawn the map of Viking conquest. This is the incredible true story of how a child's supernatural abilities brought the most fearsome warriors in history to their knees. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a sword or an axe, but the human mind's capacity for fear and belief. The Vikings conquered much of the known world, but they could never conquer the terror inspired by one extraordinary girl who wielded powers beyond their comprehension. If this story amazed you as much as it amazed me, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible historical mysteries. What's coming next will shake your understanding of power and fear even further. Next week, I'm revealing the Roman emperor who was so incredibly terrifying, so ruthlessly tyrannical, that his own Praetorian guards, the elite protectors of the empire, openly preferred to commit suicide rather than endure another day serving him. It's a story of madness, absolute power, and the ultimate act of defiance. Trust me, you absolutely won't want to miss it. Your history lessons are about to get a whole lot darker and more thrilling.